Greetings, Earthlings. When I started making my keywords videos last year that I never ended up finishing because I had the attention span of a squirrel, I covered a pretty good amount of keyword abilities that I wanted to dive deeper into at a later point. So, today, we're going to dredge up my past self and talk about one of the most cracked abilities in all of Magic, Dredge. Firstly, what is Dredge? Dredge was a mechanic introduced back in Ravnica's City of Guilds to represent the Golgari Swarm. Each guild had their own representative keyword abilities, like Orzhov had Haunt, Gruul had Bloodthirst, so on and so forth. It was so good, in fact, that when we returned to Ravnica, they heavily nerfed the guild with the hot garbage known as Scavenge. But I mean, hey, at least it gave people another reason to run Phyrexian Dreadnought. But Golgari easily got the better end of the deal in OG Ravnica with Dredge. It was apparently originally called Reclaim, like the card, in earlier development. It was essentially a regrowth effect that allowed you to just put the card into your hand from grave instead of drawing, which is just way too powerful, so it's no wonder they adjusted it. It's not like the final result was any less broken, but I digress. Not only has it seen a whole lot of play in Modern with cards like Golgari Grave Troll and Life from the Loam, but it continues to see newer iterations with its most recent showing in Modern Horizons 3 with a little known guy known as the Necrobloom. Even though it has a storm scale of 10, it still does see some reprints here and there, and it currently only sees play on black and green cards. But let's get into what the ability actually is. Dredge is a replacement effect that replaces an instance of card draw. Every card with the keyword ability has a numerical value assigned to it. Whichever number is assigned to the value is how many cards you mill into your graveyard to bring the card in question back to your hand. So for instance, if you have, say, Dakmor Salvage in your graveyard and you go to your draw phase, instead of drawing that card on top of your library, you can instead choose not to draw. It is a May effect. Look at Dakmor Salvage and see that its dredge value is 2, so then you would mill 2 cards in your graveyard to return Dakmor Salvage to your hand. The main squeeze of what makes the ability as broken as it is the fact that it can't be interacted with. It's a static ability that introduces a replacement effect, so it's technically a special action and doesn't use the stack. The only way to truly stop it is Graveyard Hate or something that causes discard to exile, and the fact that it can replace any draw other than just your draw step is part of what makes it good as well. So if you were to use some form of Graveyard Hate like Relic of Progenitus, you would need to activate it in response to someone going to their draw step or playing a card, activating or triggering an ability that lets them draw cards. Otherwise, you can't stop it. You can't interact with it. There does exist a well-known combo with Dakmor Salvage, a discard outlet, and the Gitrog monster that can enable you to essentially mill your entire deck out. It's usually more common in Sultai decks, so you can just run things like Labman or Thoracle and just win on the spot. Or, if you've played any other format for more than a spell, you're more than aware of Narcomoeba and Icarid. Or, if Legacy is your jam, there's a little deck known as Manaless Dredge that runs no lands and strictly relies on Dredge and Flashback and throwing things like Narcomoeba, Bridge from Below, and Dread Return into your graveyard. Then getting a Balustrade Spy to mill your entire deck and just go buck wild with something like Flare of the Hatebound or whatever else does the trick. I'm not an avid follower of faster formats like that, but through my research for this video, I was pretty flabbergasted to see that a deck with no lands is that powerful. Now, if you have multiple Dredge cards in your graveyard, you can only choose one at a time. So if you have no extra card draw for your turn, you can only dredge one card, even if you have multiples. And if you end up milling yourself out, you can no longer use the mechanic as it requires you to have cards in your library to mill. But, yeah. That's a brief synopsis and history on Dredge, one of Magic's most broken mechanics. It's definitely one that isn't as impactful in Commander, but you can still get up to some nonsense with it. Like my Gerard Golgari Lichlord deck is just full Golgari flavor and runs a handful of Dredge cards to fuel cards like Splinter Fright and Boneyard Worm. But yeah, I hope I explained the mechanic well enough. There's really not a whole lot to cover on it, especially because it sits so low on the storm scale, but it's definitely one of Magic's most broken mechanics, so I felt like it very much deserved its own video. But do you guys play with the mechanic? And if you do, how do games usually go for you? It definitely has quite the history, and it'll be interesting to see when, if it does get more reprints. But aside from all that, go peep the Patreon, join the Discord, check out my music. Just released a video for Cardboard Crack. I'm pretty happy with it. Wrap that like, tap subscribe. Peace.